Thank you, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the special UFC conference call featuring UFC President Dana White dialing in today from Sacramento, and George St-Pierre, who's calling us today from Quebec. The flow of the call today is going to go as follows. We're going to take the first couple of questions for George, as he does have an engagement to get to. So when we prioritize the questions, those questions will need to be for George. George will hang on the line for about 15 minutes, and when he's done, questions can then be directed at Dana. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, these questions should be for George, but before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to George so that he can make an opening statement. George, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Well, I'm here today. I've talked with Dana and Lorenzo about it. Been fighting for a long time. I had 22 fights in UFC. 15 of my fight is for a world title. I've been fighting a very long time for a high level. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism, I decided I need to take time off, and I know the UFC is a business, and they can't wait for my little person, for sure. They have to keep things rolling. So I vacant my title for the respect of the other competitor. And one day, when I feel like it, I might come back. But right now, I need a break.
Thank you, George.
Why don't you say it in French too, for the people on in Canada that might.
Yeah. I talk with Dana. Sorry, in French. J'ai parlé à Dana et Lorenzo de ça, de prendre ma décision. J'ai 22 combats UFC, 15 de mes combats, c'est des combats de championnat du monde. Ça fait longtemps que je suis sur le circuit du UFC et je combats à très haut niveau. Durant toutes ces années, j'ai eu beaucoup de pression, beaucoup de critiques, beaucoup d'attentes. Et maintenant, il est temps pour moi que je prenne une pause parce que justement, c'est pour garder ma santé mentale, si on veut. Et j'ai pas eu une vie normale durant tout ce temps-là. Pour moi, c'est le temps de vivre un peu ma vie normale et de mettre les choses en place. Et je mets mon titre vacant pour le respect des autres compétiteurs et parce que l'UFC, c'est une business et ils doivent continuer à rouler. Alors, c'est important pour moi que je respecte ça. Donc, un jour, quand ça va me tenter, si ça me tente de revenir, je reviendrai. Au lieu d'avoir un sticker, un collant rouge sur mes gants, j'aurai un collant bleu et je suis le challenger.
Thank you, George. At this time, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, it's star one for questions, and we'll kick things off with Kevin Iole from Yahoo Sports.
Hi, George. Can you tell me how long that you've been mulling this decision? Was it before UFC 167, or did the events of 167 precipitate this?
No, it happened before. The problem is people don't understand is the situation that I am at. It's a lot of pressure. It's like every fight I'm carrying weight on my shoulder, and every fight, it's like you add weight on your shoulder. Every fight you had weight, and at one point it becomes so heavy that I have a hard time carrying it myself. So for me, right now, in order to keep my mental equilibrium, physically I'm 100%. I feel I'm still young and everything. I'm on top of the world, I feel, but it's mentally. I just feel like I cannot go to another training camp right now, and I don't know when I will be able to. So I don't want to make people wait for the respect of the UFC. So it's important for me. I respect that. They made me where I am right now in the sport. So I vacant my title, and if one day I feel ready, I'm gonna come back, and instead of having a red sticker on my glove, I'm gonna be a blue sticker, and I'll be the challenger. I claimed the Everest three times before when I lost to you, to Sarah, and after my injury. And if I have to do it a fourth time, believe me, I feel like I'm gonna do it.
Just your reaction, Dana, to George's announcement, and what you think you will do with the title now that obviously George won't be defending it.
Yeah, I agree with George 100%. Listen, he sat down and talked to us and said, I have a lot of personal issues I'm dealing with right now, and I can't even imagine going into another training camp. It'll drive me crazy and all these things. So I agree with him 100%. If you are not, this isn't baseball or some sport where you go out and this is fighting, man. If you have to be 100% mental, physical, emotional. If you're not, you should sit out on the sidelines and wait until you get your stuff cleared up. And I think it's the right move.
And what do you have any idea what you do with the title now?
I do.
Hello?
There we go. There's George.
Hey, sorry guys, my phone cut. I'm sorry.
George,
go ahead.
I'll ask
question, Kevin.
Yeah, I'll ask this last question and let somebody else get on. I was wondering, I know you said that there are issues, your health is good, but did your announcement today have anything to do with your concern about the abuse you've taken, in your career?
The what? The what you said?
The physical, damage that you've sustained throughout your career.
Oh no! I'm 100%. I never feel better physically. Like I said, it's only mentally. Like I said, it's a lot of pressure, and for me, in order to keep my mental equilibrium, like it's more emotionally. I need this. I'm gonna take a break. I need this. I need to put stuff I need to have a normal life for a bit, and that's it. I'll feel better and come back stronger.
Thank you so much, George. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Ariel Helwani.
Hey, George, thank you for the time. Do you know what you're going to do with your life now that you're not an active fighter anymore?
Yes, I'm gonna keep training, keep improving, getting better. A lot of things to change, and live a little bit more of a normal life. And yeah, that's about it.
So, are you going to still be a part of TriStar and help those guys train? Will you still be present at the
Yeah, of course. I will. It's just that I won't have the pressure of competing. The problem with me, the guys, which made me what made me champion, and the reason where I am. It's my biggest quality, but it's also a big issue for me. I'm completely obsessed about something. When they announce me for a fight, they say, "Oh, you're gonna fight that guy that date." I'm start right away thinking about it, and not only thinking, like getting completely obsessed about it. I think about it constantly. Before I go to bed, when I eat, when I drive my car, when I train, it's completely crazy. So the fact that I don't have this thing, I'm gonna focus more on something else, like normal life. I'm gonna keep training because I'm a martial artist. That's what I do in my life, and get better. And if I come back one day, I promise you I will get much better than I was now. I'm gonna fix things, make myself stronger.
And just 2 quick follow-ups. Did you feel this way in the cage at UFC 167, or did you decide that you were going to do this in the last few weeks?
No, I knew before. Like I said, I knew before I was going to do this. It just built up over time. It built up after fight, after fight, after fight, after fight, until the point that I told myself, I said, you know what, I need this. That's why, if you look at when Joe Rogan gave me the mic, I knew I was going to announce it. But normally, the way the fight finished and everything, it was a controversy in part, and Joe Rogan gave me the mic. I didn't know if it was a good timing to say it. That's why it looked a little bit awkward, but it didn't look good the way I said it. I was hesitating. I don't know if I should have said it or not. It was bad timing. I shouldn't, probably. But, I didn't have the word. I was very emotional and stuff. But I knew before the fight it was going to happen, yeah.
Okay, and you've never said the word retirement throughout all of this. So what does your gut say? Do you think one day you will come back?
Yeah, I believe one day I will come back. The problem is I don't know how long. I cannot put myself on another training camp right now. I feel like mentally I need a break. And that's why, and I don't want to make nobody wait. I just want to do it when I feel like it, and I will become stronger when I will, And it's gonna be up to me. It has to be on my term, and will make me stronger.
And once again, that is *1 if you would like to ask a question. We'll now move to John Morgan.
George, thanks for the time. You've mentioned the word criticism and the word pressure a couple of times, but you're saying that you still love martial arts and you're going to continue to train. So I wonder, what is it that you're trying to get away from? Is it to get away from the fans? Is it to get away from the media? I mean, what is it that you actually want to get away from?
I love my sport. You know, to tell you the truth, I love my sport. And I've never been a victim. You know, I've never been a victim of anything. I choose this life, you know. I choose to do this. Nobody ever forced me. But the problem is, as much as I choose it to do it, now I choose to not do it. You know, it's my right. I'm allowed to do it. I choose to not do it, you know, because I feel mentally, you know, it's a lot of pressure. Nobody can understand the situation that I am at. It's been all this pressure and all this weight I carry on my shoulder has been built up over a long time. People are like, oh, you only fight like maybe every 4 months. But what they don't understand is there's so much promotion going with it. Is the press tour, the prime time, the camera, the trash talking, the build up. Everywhere I go in restaurant, as soon as I step out of my house now in Quebec, because the sport now is popular, everybody's like, hey, good luck for the fight. Hey, the fight this. Hey, the fight that. Hey, what you gonna do to the guy? They talk about me, about this all the time, and it's completely insane. Every day of my life is like that. So nobody can understand this pressure. You know, it's hard to explain. But what I try to run away from it's all that pressure and everything about that. And right now I need to take a pause and will make me strong and go back to my things, have some project in my mind, and it's gonna make me stronger.
Yeah, I can understand that. What about, you said you may come back. Do you know what it's going to take? I mean, certainly it's difficult for you to know until you've been there, but is there a trigger? Is there something that you're waiting, like a mental state or a feeling? I mean, no. If
I give you a date, I immediately put me back into a date, into pressure, into, I'm going to start thinking about it. It has to be on my term. I don't know when, I don't know if, I don't know, I think I will. I can't say 100%, but right now I don't want the people thinking about me. I know a lot of guys are gonna be like, oh, I want to fight St-Pierre because he has a lot of pay-per-view buy, and I want to make money, I understand that. Everybody's in for the business, but I'm just tired of this, I need a break and get away from it, and if one day I decide to go back, when I feel like it, I will be stronger, I promise.
And we'll now move to Jeff Wagenheim.
Similar to the question that was just asked, but I'm about the possibility of you coming back. But I'm wondering if you know of some things that you actively will be able to do during your time off that will prepare you for a possible comeback. Because if you do come back and you come back strong, you talk about being physically strong, and if you come back and win the championship again, the whole thing will start over again if you're not prepared for it to be different. So have you thought about what kinds of things you need to do during this time to prepare yourself?
No, it's like I said, a lot of this thing is part of my personal life. I keep my personal life personal, and that's it. That's all, And I need to do stuff, and that's personal.
And we'll now move to Peter Tardis.
Salut, Georges. I'd like for you to explain just how this vacant title is going to work. I mean, if ever one day you decide to come back, what's the scenario? What's going to happen?
I don't know. If one day I decide to come back, I'm gonna, of course, have a talk with Dana and Lorenzo. And then after the talk, it's gonna be up to them. If I need to prove myself again, I have a couple of fights before going for a title shot, I will be ready to do it. And if I go straight away for a title shot, I will be ready either. Mixed martial art that's a sport that I love. That's what I do best in life. And regardless, whatever they tell me to do, I will be ready to do it. Whoever they tell me to fight, I will be ready to do it. If I decide to come back, I will be to do everything, be back on top of the game, and will be my decision. And when I decide, and if I decide, I will be ready to do everything that it will take to get me there.
We'll now move.
It will just make me feel good too. You know, I've been on top for so long, so everybody is looking at me and like I'm the target. You know, right now it's gonna make me feel good. The guys fight each other, you know, so I'm out of the equation. And if one day I come back, I will be the one that will look up to the guy on top of the mountain and try to claim it. And it just, you know, I need this time off.
And we'll now move to Mike Giattetta.
Hi, George. First of all, congratulations to you on your decision. I just want to wish you good luck, whatever happens in the future. Beyond that, I wanted to ask, you know, you talked about the pressure and the weight and everything that goes along with being the champion. Did you feel as though all of that was actually affecting you once you got in the cage as well, maybe in the training room or in the cage when you competed?
Like I said, it's been a long time I wanted to do this. It built up on my shoulder. Training camp after training camp. Things that I want to do. Personal thing to do, and I keep my personal life personal. My life is a freaking zoo right now, and that's it. I need to go to my thing and take a break, and that's all I can say. I'm sorry, I'm like a tape recorder. It make me laugh, but I know you guys trying, but you're not gonna get anything personal out of me. That's all.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump in here. We're going to take our last question for George St-Pierre from Dave Siebert from Post Media News. Go ahead, Dave. We got time for one question.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks, George. If you don't come back, and if this is it, are you content with the legacy that you leave in cage in terms of your records you set, and as a draw for the company? Are you content with what you leave?
I'm content. It's a lot of things I wanted to do. I wanted to be the greatest. And also, I said before, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do things to be remembered. You know, I wanted to do things to be remembered, to make a difference in the sport, to make the sport reach another level. I've tried to do it during my last fight. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Maybe the people were not ready for it. And unfortunately, I tried my best. I tried to do everything possible. And but you know, we'll see if I come back or not. I'll think I have a lot of time to think about it. We'll see.
George, it's Dana. Thanks, buddy. We really appreciate it. Have a good day. You're good to go.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, guys. Let me start off by saying, like I said, I think this is the right move for George St-Pierre. I mean, you can hear by listening to him, he's got a lot of issues personally that he needs to deal with, and no doubt it's the right move. So what we're going to do is March 15th, Dallas, Texas, Johnny Hendricks will fight Robbie Lawler for the vacant welterweight title. Who has the first question?
Let's go ahead and go to Ron Kruk from Inside MMA. Go ahead, Ron.
Thanks, Dave. Dana, I was waiting for George, but I will ask you this. That's a great way to get this title moving again. Did you have any clue, Dana, leading up to this? I mean, I spoke to him 24 hours before the fight, and he said he still loved his job. He loved the training process. Did you have any clue that this was coming?
He does love his job. He does love the training process. He's got a lot of personal issues that he needs to deal with. There's things personally that he needs to deal with before he can even come close to mentally focusing on fighting again.
But did he approach you before that and give you any indication that he was going to drop that bomb to Joe Rogan?
Well, we knew that something was going on with him. The one thing that George St-Pierre has always been, he's always been 100% professional. I couldn't say enough good things about him. It is what it is. It's not like there was any. I don't know. It's actually, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. The guy's got some things that he needs to deal with. He was classy enough to say, I'm not going to jam up the 170-pound division while I deal with these things, and I'm going to step aside and handle my stuff, and then I'll be back.
Very good. Thank you.
We'll now move to Kevin Iole with Yahoo Sports.
Dana, if you could comment on what you think George's legacy as a MMA fighter would be, first of all, and secondly, do you think that maybe of all his great accomplishments, doing what he's doing, there's a lot of pressure on a guy to, walk away like this when he's at the top of his game. Do you think that sets a standard for the way guys should handle their careers?
Well, the guy's been here forever. You know what I mean? This isn't some guy. It's not like John Jones, a guy who just burst onto the scene, is walking away now to deal with some stuff. I mean, he's been here forever. Jordan's been here forever. He's been an absolute professional in everything that he's done, in the way that he's carried himself right up until this move here. I mean, his legacy is he's the greatest welterweight ever. And as far as working with us, there's nobody better. If I had 475 guys like George St-Pierre, my life would be a lot easier.
And I don't know if maybe I misunderstood your answer or you misunderstood my second part of the question, but I'm saying, this is a good thing that he did. If you're having problems, you should walk away. And, George has always been a leader in things he's done. And I wonder if you say that this is an example to, fighters, boxers, and MMA fighters of how to handle it when you're having problems.
Yeah, no, he is the gold standard in everything, and how to, you can tell. I mean, you guys can just tell by his tone of voice and the way that he's talking, and he's kind of tiptoeing around the real issue here, that he has these personal problems that he's dealing with, yet he handles everything like a professional, He really does.
And I have one last question for you. At that press conference, which was one of the most amazing press conferences I had ever been to, you went out to talk to him briefly, and you came back, and I think, to characterize what you said, it seems like a big deal to him now, but it's not that big a deal in the scope of things. Did you learn anything different in addition to what you learned that night that makes you now understand his position better?
No, it's just he has these. George St-Pierre is one. I mean, you could tell by the way he talks that his issues he's dealing with outside the octagon are driving him nuts. He's obsessing about them, and it's driving him crazy. So, he's at a point where he's like, I just have to deal with these things first before he said if I go into another training camp with these things on my mind, I won't be focused. It will drive me insane, and I'll have a horrible camp.
Okay. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Luis LaRiviere with TVA Sports.
Looks like Luis may have dropped off the line, so why don't we go ahead to Dave Meltzer from MMA Fighting. So, operator, if you can put Dave Meltzer in the queue, that'd be great.
Hello?
Caller, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Dana. I mean, the one question I wanted to ask this to George, and I don't know if you even know the answer, but do you know any kind of he was talking about it was before this last fight. I mean, do you know of a time frame, kind of when the trigger went off with him that he needed to get out? I mean, was it before the Diaz fight? Was it after the Diaz fight? Was it just in leading up to this fight? I mean, did he kind of give you any indication that?
Yeah, it was leading up to this fight. It was the camp for the Johnny Hendricks fight.
Okay, and as far as the pick, obviously Hendricks was going to have to be in the fight, and Lawler, is obviously one of the top guys that you would consider. Was there any reason Lawler over, and I guess the only other real choice, I guess, would be Condit when I was kind of looking at prospective, scenarios. I mean, was there a...
Well, not scenarios. If you look at the rankings.
Yeah.
If you look at the rankings, you got Condit, and then you got Lawler. Those are the top two guys. So Condit just had a shot at the title against George, and just had a shot at Johnny Hendricks. So Robbie Lawler just beat the guy that everybody wanted to see fight George St-Pierre. Not to mention the fact that there's no doubt that the Robbie Lawler-Johnny Hendricks fight is going to be an absolute gunfight.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I was just kind of checking
out.
And
I'm working on something else for Carlos Condit that hopefully Condit will be on that card too. Hopefully I have this thing buttoned up Saturday or Monday.
On Condit, is Matt Brown a possibility for Condit, or are you looking in a different direction?
Different direction. Now that the title is vacant, I think we need to go in a different direction.
Okay, and what about Nick Diaz at this point? Is there any talk of Nick Diaz, or is it the same situation it's been?
As far as I know, Nick Diaz is retired.
Okay, all right.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll now move to John Morgan with USA Today.
Thank you. Dana, obviously you're being very supportive of George's decision, but can I ask, what clicked with you? What changed? I mean, obviously the night of 167, you felt certain that he'd be back and it was no big deal and he could work through it. And now you're saying, no, the guy's making the right choice. He's taking some time off. So what changed between then and now?
Nothing changed. I mean, obviously, I made it very clear I was pretty emotional that night. I think everybody was emotional that night. And, we sat down and talked, and it's absolutely, listen, in the history, I actually go to guys and ask them to retire when I don't think that they're right to fight. I literally go to guys and say, we should probably talk about, the next chapter of your life or what we're going to do, this or that. When a guy comes and says that he's having issues and he literally can't focus, and you can't be in this sport when that's the case.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the show goes on regardless of the fighter, but how does this affect you? I mean, you've made it very clear over the past few years that, George is the number one guy, man. He's the biggest draw. He's the biggest pay-per-view guy. So, how does that affect you as a businessman when that guy's gone?
Same questions everybody asked me about Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell was going to leave. What are you guys going to do when Chuck Liddell leaves? It's the biggest pay-per-view star you have, and yada, 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 yada. Life goes on.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
And we'll now move to Ivan Ralph with Global.com.
Hi, Dana. I want to listen your opinion about this. You talked to George. If he had lost to Hendricks, do you think his decision would be the same?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes that it would be the same because it has nothing to do with fighting. It's just personal stuff he's dealing with.
Okay. And George wants to be the greatest of all times. In which ways this decision affects his goal?
I don't think it does. I mean, how about this? How about George St-Pierre? He's already the best welterweight ever, right? Now he takes some time off. He deals with his personal problems. You have a new champion. The champion defends his title once or twice, and George St-Pierre comes back and tries to win it again. And if he's able to do that, I mean, it's just another epic moment in his career.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Richard Hunter with KRLD-SM Radio Dallas.
Yeah, hi Dana. Having been there at the UFC 167 press conference myself and just kind of recounting the events of the night, George said today essentially the same thing that he said in the cage, and then we all know the press conference that ensued after that. But, as I recall, you were upset, and then when you went back to talk to him, you came back and without giving a lot of details told us that, you felt much better about it and you thought everything was going to work out. So my question is, from that night to today, did you have any different understanding? Did you think that it was resolved to the point that George was going to fight again, or have you known?
Yeah, so that night, I just said to a guy a few minutes ago, I was really emotional. And it was more, that night was more than just what George St-Pierre said. There were a lot of things. There was a lot of, how do I say this? I don't want to beat a dead horse. But, there was some battling going on with me and Nevada, I would say. You know what I mean? So there was more to it than just I blew up and went crazy because of George St-Pierre and what he said. But no, I wouldn't say that. That night when I talked to him, he and I came back to you guys and said everything is not as bad as it seems. But to him, he's going crazy. I mean, you could tell just by the way he's talking and his voice. He's got these issues that he needs to deal with, and once he deals with them, he can focus on training and being a fighter again. Did I answer your question?
And actually, Yeah, his line disconnected. So now we'll move to Gareth Davies with Telegraph in London.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen. Dana, you told me a couple of weeks ago that you felt that GSP would fight again and that he would defend the belt. So when was that decision made between you, Lorenzo, and GSP? Has that come in the last few days? And have you been trying behind the scenes to persuade GSP to stay on and have a think about it for a few months and then make a decision? Has it just come about in the last few days, really?
I would never tell a guy who says I'm not mentally focused and emotionally there right now to compete. And George St-Pierre will compete again. Yes, I do believe that George St-Pierre will fight again. So, you guys ask me questions that I always can't give you all the answers to.
Absolutely. No, that was really actually my next question was, is your gut feeling, you know what fighters are like. They go away, they have a rest, they see someone else doing what they really want, they solve their problems and they come back in. Very often fighters, certainly in boxing, come back for money in many cases. But is your gut feeling then that GSP will see what goes on in front of him for the next 10 months or a year and then will come back and fight again?
Well, I've made it very clear to you guys like a zillion times, and I cannot express to you enough how bad George St-Pierre does not need money. George St-Pierre has a lot of money. And he could walk away forever if that's what he chose to do. I honestly don't believe that he will do that. I think he will come back. He needs to button up some things in his personal life, and then you'll see him again.
Many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Karen Bryant with MMA Heat.
Thanks for taking the time. I know a lot of my questions have already been answered, but Dana, I was curious. I know you always talk about people, asking you for certain fights, and I know we talked about the rankings and who's available, but Robbie Lawler is somebody who's so low key. I'm just curious how that conversation went with him, his reaction to knowing that he was going to be fighting for the title, and exactly a little bit more about why you did decide to go with Robbie.
Yeah, the reason I went with Robbie is because Carlos Condit already had a shot at the title with George, and then just fought Johnny Hendricks and lost. So Robbie Lawler was the next guy in line. So Lawler will get that fight, and Condit hopefully will fight on that card too. I'm trying to work that out as we speak. And how did they react? Johnny Hendricks went absolutely crazy, and Robbie Lawler went about as crazy as Robbie Lawler can go.
Well, it's interesting, too, when you talk about something fun for Carlos Condit. I mean, when you look at the rankings, most people are tied up now. So what does fun mean?
Well, I'm working on it. As soon as I get it done, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully I can.
All right. Well, and lastly, just, you've mentioned how, and we all know, obviously, that George has been there so long. Just I'm curious about your thoughts on the idea that we are getting new blood, at the top of the division and what that might do for you. Obviously, we know that George is such a draw, but at the same time, you might be able to make the argument that having all this new blood in there adds new excitement to the division.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the way sports work. I mean, it's the way the fight game works. Guys don't hold belts forever. Guys don't stay champions forever. And new guys go in there. New fights happen. This is life. This is sports. This is the way that it works. But I was saying, you jumped in. I was saying, hopefully I can get this thing done Saturday, and maybe I'll have an answer for you guys at the press conference Saturday night. Or if not, I can get it done by Monday.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll now take a follow-up from Mark Chiappetta.
Most of my questions have been answered, Dana, but I just have two quick ones. The first is, why is GSP's retirement, why does that affect like Matt Brown in the sense that you said, you need to go in a new direction for Condit now? Why is that?
It didn't affect Matt Brown that way. Matt Brown has a couple of herniated discs. That's no joke. I'm not pressuring or looking for Matt Brown to come back anytime soon. Matt Brown is hurt.
Okay, fair enough. Just to clarify, John Jones and Glover Teixeira, are they still the main event for the Dallas card or no?
John Jones and Glover Teixeira, yes.
They are still the main event, okay. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Brian Oswald with Bleacher Report.
Go ahead, Brian.
That was actually my question about John Jones versus Glover. Just wanted to confirm if it was still the main event.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
We'll now move to Jay Genauer with Global Sports.
Dana, first off, best of the holiday season to you. Two questions. One is, you talked about the fight that we're going to see between Hendricks and Lawler. How much does this change the UFC landscape with what's going to happen in the welterweight division? I mean, we all know, and you called GSP the greatest welterweight ever. You know, if anything, he's not a guy who's going to stand there and slug it out every fight. But now it seems like, as you said, you got guys who are going to go in there and get it all the time. How different is this welterweight division going to be?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much different it's going to be. All these guys were here before, too, when George St-Pierre was here. But, you know, and I kind of get the reference that you're putting out there. But, I mean, if you talk about George St-Pierre's style, I mean, the guy is still so popular, and people love the guy and love to watch him fight, and his events are huge. You know, we'll see what happens. Obviously, as a fight fan myself, personally, I love the Lawler Hendricks fight. It's going to be an absolute, you know, it's going to be a gunfight. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be, you know, these guys are the type of guys, both good wrestlers, both heavy punchers, both knockout power. It's going to be awesome, man. This is like a Hagler-Hearns fight.
You know, as far as the accolades go, we all know how much GSP has meant to the UFC. And, you know, you talk about, well, who's going to be, you know, taking over those reins. But how important has GSP been to the UFC? I mean, we've seen what he's done for our country here in Canada. We've seen what he's like when he goes around the world. But can you really say how solid he has been for your organization, Dana?
Yeah, it's funny because he said I wanted to change the sport. I wanted to help elevate the sport, and he did that. He did that big time, not just in Canada, not just in the United States, but all over the world.
And Dana, lastly, there's a lot of crap that always gets spewed on Twitter, the internet rumors and all the rest. And I know GSP likes to keep his personal life personal, but, you know, as far as the, you know, impregnating a woman, the family stuff, I mean, do you think all this kind of stuff factors into the mental stress that it seems like he was under about the whole pressure?
Yeah, there's no doubt. That kind of stuff, you know, that kind of stuff starts to drive you crazy. I mean, he can try to isolate himself from it, but, you know, he still hears it. It still happens, and he's going. You know, listen, the guy's been champ forever. You know, he's a mentally strong guy. He's got to deal with. It's like, you know, it's like when he's talking about. He's like, if I was going to fight again, I'd have to go back into camp again soon. I can't go into camp. It's like when you just come home from a trip, right? You've been on vacation for 2 weeks. And you just got home and you got to be to work tomorrow, but you got a ton of shit that you got to do. You got to handle and take care of stuff, you know, whether it's your laundry. He's got some laundry to take care of. He's got some stuff that he needs to take care of. He doesn't have to worry about going to camp or making any press appearances or doing anything for the UFC. He can just focus 100% on his personal life, get his laundry done, and then jump back into the game.
And lastly, Dana, are you any closer to jumping back here to Vancouver? It's been a few years since we've seen you guys here. I mean, you know how this market is. Any progress for 2014 or 2015?
I love Vancouver, man, and I can't wait to get back up there. Not just to do a fight, but I love the city. It's an amazing city, and yeah, we'll be there as soon as we possibly can.
All the best and have a good Christmas. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
We'll now take a follow-up from Ariel Helwani.
Dana, you know, at the end, and you just referred to this in your last answer, but at the end of GSP's portion of the call, he said that, you know, I tried to do something to change the sport, and it didn't really happen. And it sounds like that was everything that he was doing with Vada. And, you know, leading up to the fight, he was saying that he felt like the UFC didn't stand by him. Did he ever tell you that was one of the reasons why, that he felt like he tried to change the sport, it didn't work, and he had enough of the whole thing?
No.
That never came up?
No.
Okay. You're looking at 2014 with no GSP Pettis had surgery yesterday. Kane had surgery on Tuesday. Does any of that scare you at all?
No. Doesn't scare me at all. This is what we do for a living. This is what we do. If that scares me, I'm in big trouble.
And just one last one. So there are some fighters, like Kane and Pettis have surgeries. They're out for almost a year. Why did you, not just let him, you say he's like a guy who's coming back from a trip and the laundry and all that. Just to have him around as an active fighter, it means a lot. Why not just do like an interim belt or something like that? Why does he have to actually drop the title if he's coming back?
Because he's going to handle this stuff. Who knows how long it's going to take. And he was just out for over a year. He was just out for over a year with ACL surgery. It's the right thing to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
We'll now move to John Oregon with Fighters Only Magazine.
Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, hi, that's a question for Dana. Just regarding the contractual side, obviously you have contractual obligations on both sides with all your fighters about, appearances and times they have to be offered fights and this and that. Is GSP on a contract freeze now when he says he might be away for a year? Does that mean that his contract is formally suspended for a period of 12 months, or how does the whole thing work?
Yeah, it's contract freezes.
And you kind of touched on this a little bit. How do you feel that GSP's hiatus is going to affect Canadian market penetration?
Yeah, obviously, when GSP fights, we do amazing buys in Canada. But GSP will fight a couple times a year, It's just, guys, listen, when we went through the whole thing when Chuck Liddell and many other fighters, started to retire, it's like, oh no, what are these guys going to do now? They're in big trouble now. Da-da-da-da-da. I mean, we hear this stuff all the time. It's like a broken record. This is the business that we're in. This is what we do.
You've seen a lot of big stars emerge over the years. Obviously, you've seen GSP come up through the ranks from when he started to what he became. You've got a lot of your champions out of action next year, but who have you got your eye on who think could emerge as a big star over the next 12 months?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Who could emerge? Let me tell you what. Guys live fight to fight. Let me give you an example. When we did the Alexander Gustafsson fight with Jones, everybody said, this fight's crazy. This guy doesn't deserve the fight. Yada, 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 yada. Now, all anybody can talk about is Gustafsson fighting Jones, and that's what they want to see again. Antonio Bigfoot Silva and Mark Hunt went into Australia last weekend, and, they were the main event. Good fight, interesting fight. Blew the door. I mean, that's all I talked about for 4 days. It's all anybody talked about. It's just, this is the fight business. Tomorrow night on Fox here in Sacramento, these guys are going to go out there, and Monday morning, everybody's going to be talking about somebody.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And we'll now move to Carlos Contreras with Millennium.
I just wanted to ask you about, it's pretty much about the contract issue that I already talked. Is he a free agent? Is there a time frame for you to ask him to come back, or is he gonna have to have a new contract ever if he comes back in a year or 2 years?
Yeah, if George St-Pierre stays out for 6 months or 6 years, his contract is frozen. So when he comes back, his contract will start again with his first fight.
Oh, thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
We'll now take a follow-up from Kevin Aioli.
Hey, Dana, I just wanted to ask you very quickly, is it fair to say that George's 2 fights this year were your 2 best pay-per-view performances of 2013?
I'll find out that information for you and let you know. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out. But I would have to say yes. I mean, it's definitely not the 2 worst, or the two somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean?
Well, Chris
and Anderson specifically for you.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll now take a question from Dave Meltzer with MMA Fighting and Wrestling Observer.
Yeah, George always would say that his goal was to be the greatest ever, and he's certainly in. When you talk about the greatest ever. He's in the conversation and right at the top of the conversation. How do you think that this may or may not affect that choice in the sense that, you know, he retired after a long championship reign, but, you know, Anderson Silva obviously had a very long reign, although he lost at the end of it. And I'm not asking you to choose one or the other, but how do you feel in the sense, I guess maybe I am asking you that. You know, I mean, what do you see as far as like the, you know, his goal to be the greatest of all time? Obviously, I think we'd all agree he's the greatest welterweight of all time, but greatest of all time, what are kind of your thoughts on that?
Well, it's tough to tell. I mean, I think that you know what I think of Anderson Silva. First of all, second of all, the story isn't finished yet. I mean, the guy's going to go deal with his stuff. If he comes back and whoever the champion is, whatever happens in between, and he comes back and wins again, then defends the title a bunch of times, then retires in the streak, who knows? I think because he's walking away. It's just you know, it's like you put a bookmark in it, and we wait to see how the story ends. I mean, from your talk, you're kind of going. I sense that you're going with the idea that you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know he's going to be back. He's going to be challenging for the championship once this mental hurdle gets through, and it's not the end of the George St-Pierre story then. Exactly. Okay. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank everybody. For those of you that aren't going to be here tomorrow night in Sacramento, I just want to say happy holidays to you and your family, and hopefully I will see you all December 28th in Las Vegas for Silva versus Weidman. Thank you guys very much. Have a great day.